don't know about you, but I sure am thirsty. Whew. One second. It's refreshing. So, if you watched any of my videos, you know that I live out in the country, and as such, I have a well that serves the water to my property. Well, I don't drink the well water. I think it tastes disgusting, and I'm just not sure about it. So recently I've been looking for water filtration systems, reverse osmosis systems for my house so that the water we can actually use. Right now, for us to use drinking water, I end up using one of these and even one of these. I go out and buy bottles from Walmart or the grocery store, bring them in, and that's what we use for our water. Today, we are going to be looking at a reverse osmosis water purification system that sits on your countertop or sits on a table or whatnot, and it's able to make a carafe of water. Sounds pretty cool. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. My channel is dedicated to reviewing mostly as seen on TV items. I look at some consumer gadgets, other household items. Once in a while, I do a little bit of a DIY just because I like to. If that interests you, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and click the bell below so you're notified every time I release a video just like this one. Now, let's take a closer look at this reverse osmosis system to see if it's any good. As I've been doing my research for a whole home water purification system, I see that they start out in the $800, $900, $1,000 or more range, and that's a lot of money. This machine here today, we're going to be talking about, retails for about $399, and it can be purchased on Amazon. I will leave a link down in the description if that's something that interests you. Now, the company sent this to me for a review, so I'm excited to try it out. In this video, I'll be using an acronym called TDS, and that stands for Total Dissolved Solids. And all that really means is it talks about the amount of minerals or salts or other things that are in your water. It is measured in something called ppm, or parts per million, and experts say that under 40 TDS is an acceptable range for drinking water. Let's go set this machine up and test it out and look at our TDS. The first thing we're going to do with our reverse osmosis filter is we are going to look at the actual filters. Now there's just a door here, so what we're going to do is we're going to slide this up. We'll set that to the side, and we see our 4 pre-installed filters, right? And so there are 4 stages that water goes down and up and down and up and down and out eventually to our final water. So filter number 1 is polypropylene filter. Number 2 is a coconut carbon filter. 3 and 4 are both reverse osmosis filters. I know they do sell these as replacement parts on their website. It lasts about a year, they say. So now let's actually check out the process and see how it filters. I've just plugged in the machine, and you can see the different levels of the filter. I'm able to actually cycle through if I want a half a liter, a whole liter, or a 1.5 liters water output, and that also depends on what I put in the back. When I'm ready to start, I'll have to hit this button, but I'm not ready yet. I've just washed this pot, which is the water reservoir that we actually will get our drinkable water. This is right here where the water goes before it gets purified. I did notice, like right now, it pops up and down here. So I'm wondering when it's filled if that will be different, but I'm getting ready to start our first run through. So now we're going to fill up the water reservoir, and there's a max level right here. That's as high as we're going to fill it up, and then we're going to put this back in the machine and run it through. It's kind of convenient though, it has this handle that I can just carry it with. So my water reservoir in the back is full. I'm going to pick, I want it to be the 1.5 liter. I don't know what's actually going to happen. And so I'm just going to hit start. And what I hear is what it sounds like water coming through the machine. And so at the end here, I'll show you what actually happens. But I'm told this takes like 10 minutes. About 8 minutes later, the cycle ran through. I got just about 500 milliliters, which is not as much as I thought. It tells me that I put in 212 TDS, which seems just ridiculously high, and it brought out 2, which seems like it's great. I'm actually going to test the TDS of my water here just to compare it to this machine, but now let's go dump the reservoir tank, which is in the back. Here we go. See how dirty that water is? The directions actually tell you it's going to be dirty the first few times, but that's disgusting. So what happened was I filled this up with water. It went through all the filters. It purified some of the water, then it back flushed back into here, the part that it could not use. So the directions, however, do say it's going to be dark the first few times. Don't be surprised. So Kflow, the company that makes this reverse osmosis machine, recommends you run it about 5 or 6 times and just dump it. I guess that fills up the filters. It just gets the machine ready. So that's what I'm going to do here. All right, so let's run this through a second time. We're still on 1.5. I refilled the reservoir. Here it goes. I'm told as we go, the water will start getting higher and higher because the filters are full and it's starting to work through the system. So we'll see what happens the second time. So the second time running through it yielded almost 1,700 milliliters. I'd say it's about maybe 1,550. The TDS is lower. It says it's 145 in, but still 2 out. So that's interesting. But they do tell you the first 5 or 6 times you run this through, just dump the water and don't drink it. So I'm going to do that. And then after I finish the 6th or so time dumping it, then we're going to start doing some water tests. So I find this interesting. So I filled this thing up to max, right? Ran it through the test. I have almost a full carafe of water there, but I still have about, I'd say a little over 1/3 of the water that came back and was not usable. The directions say that you can use this for watering plants or doing other such things, but definitely not to drink. I'm just going to dump it out here for the first few times, but just so you know, you will get a lot of water left over here in the reservoir when it's finished. Here I have some water that I poured just out of the tap, and I have a generic TDS reader that I picked up off of Amazon. As you can see down here, it says 0 ppm or parts per million. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stick this in the water. And it looks like it's bringing it up to 34, which is still in the usable or drinkable range. I think they say anything under 40 is okay. But now I'm going to be interested to see what the TDS is using this device after it goes through the water filter. So we just finished a cycle. I'm going to pour some of the water from the reverse osmosis machine into this cup. All right. And now let's check it out. Make sure we're cleared. We are running 0. Okay. So I think before we were 34. Let's check it now. And so I will say it made a substantial difference. I'm down to 7, which is really, really good. So that makes me think, well, the water does purify as it goes through there. Pretty neat. Just for fun, I want to test some of the water that we are dumping out after the machine is run through. So the water going in, this machine said it was 34. Coming out, it was 7. Let's see what it is from the dump tank here. Ooh, that went red right away, and it says 89 parts per million. Now that's definitely not something drinkable. That's really interesting that it would go that high on the dump tank. I guess that means you definitely don't drink it. One of the biggest complaints people had with this system is the wasting of that water that's left in the reservoir, where Kflow recommends use it to water your plants. In the event you need to replace a filter, we just take off the back here, set it aside, you pull the filter forward, you twist it, pull it off, get your new filter, line up the arrow here, put it back in, twist away, And there you have it. Pretty simple. So right now I'd like to walk you through my journey over the past few weeks with the Kflow reverse osmosis water filter. Okay, so I got it, I unboxed it, I was real excited because I transport a lot of water here every week. I was excited to see if this would work. I read the directions, I flushed it through the 6 times that it needed to, and then at 7th time I drank it. I said, oh, okay, that's palatable because the water here I just can't drink. Well, I drank another cup, and then I started feeling this weird taste. Like, that tastes weird. What is that? It's almost like metallic. So then I'm like Googling, why does my water taste metallic? And I just didn't know. So I reached out to the company, and they said, well, yeah, sometimes that happens. In the very beginning, it could just have weird taste. They recommended flushing it out 6 or 7 more times, and so that's what I did. Now, each time I tried using as much of that water as I could around the house, watering stuff, but I only have so many plants, so some of it did get dumped. But I will say, after the extra flushing, the water actually tasted pretty good. In fact, it tasted like almost like spring water or purified water. I know that's hard to explain, but that's exactly what it tasted like, and I like drinking it. So for about a week or so, I just drank carafe after carafe after carafe of this water, and I liked it. But I didn't want just my opinion here, so I asked my wife to try it out, and after she first said, no, I'm not drinking that, she reluctantly did, and she said, yeah, this tastes good. I'm actually really, really impressed. I was kind of surprised, right? So let's talk about the price. It's $399. That's a lot of money. Plus, every year you have to replace your filters, so it is something that down the road you're going to have to think about, oh, there is some maintenance and upkeep. I think this is great for just a house like this. Also, RV people, you never know what the water's like at the different campsites you go to. This is a great little item to have to just purify your water. I will say, I shouldn't have said little item because it is kind of a big device, and if you're an RV, sometimes you want to fight for space, but it's something I think that would be great for purifying water. Anyway, this was my review of the Kflow Reverse Osmosis Water Purification System. This was Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a great day. I really do appreciate that you stayed around for my entire review of the Reverse Osmosis Water Purification System. There's just a few more things that I want to discuss before we wrap up this video. Did you notice how I used my TDS tester and I compared it to that of the machine, and they were just really different? So my thoughts were, as I put the water into the machine, the water then ran through some of those filter cartridges, which some had charcoal and some had other such things, and maybe picked up the TDS number on the way. And by the time it got to the last filters, it cleaned it out and then dumped the excess unusable water into the pot. Maybe, that's my thought. It makes sense, right? I will say, the company says that you waste about 25% of the water in there. It just can't do it all. What I like about it is that it actually back flushes the water out and doesn't just keep it in the machine. That's kind of cool because it keeps it clean in there then. I also will say, when I first did the run through of purifying the water, it took about 8 to 10 minutes, remember? That's, I think, just because the machine was setting up. After it got going, I can get a full carafe here in about 2 minutes, and so it is pretty convenient. Like I said before, I'm going to leave a link down in the description if it's something that interests you, but I'm also going to link the TDS tester or monitor. And speaking of TDS monitor, a reviewer friend of mine, little guy, big reviews, he did a testing of some TDS stuff not that long ago where he checked out bottles of water and such. It was really cool. I'll link that down in the description as well. So it's been really hot, and during this video I needed to keep cool, and so I've used my Nordic fan and my Go fan this entire time, keeping myself cool and relaxed. I did a review not that long ago, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to link it right up here, and I would love it if you would click on that link. Go ahead, click it. It's safe. I promise. I'll see you over there.